Hey everyone, welcome to the Wrestling Experience.
Where we take 4 announce table bumps and get a title shot.
Yeah,
Totally worth it.
maybe if we take maybe some announce table bumps, maybe we'll kind of skyrocket in the YouTube charts.
If that's what it takes, I'm committed. I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. I'm Jazz,
I'm Johnny.
and we are here for night 2 of the draft. We are here to recap Monday Night Raw. Raw in a nutshell. I mean, I guess I'm gonna say that it was okay, it was decent, and then when we're gonna start talking about it, we're gonna realize that it actually wasn't a bad episode at all. We got to see some great wrestling, and I guess that was the number one thing, and it ended in a very entertaining fashion.
I felt like it got better. Yeah, the last segment was by far the most entertaining. I thought at first I was like not super into it, but the episode just got better and better. So overall, I think it was a pretty good episode.
Absolutely. So let's open up with the Apex Predator. Randy Orton doesn't care if he lands on Raw. He doesn't care if he lands on SmackDown. What he does know for a fact is that he's going to take Drew's title at Hell in a Cell. And he starts talking about 2020 and how it's been a weird year. And, you know, it has been the year of Drew McIntyre. So he's got to give him credit where credit is due. You know, he beat Brock Lesnar. He became the face of WWE. But what he learned that Drew's loss last week was also his first in almost a year. So Drew's really been, hitting up them
pinned,
W's.
yeah.
Exactly.
He has
So
not been pinned or submitted in I guess since the Royal Rumble maybe or something, right?
essentially, and he says that, without loss, I foresee more losses coming for Drew McIntyre, and he's going to end his legacy by hitting it with the 3 most dangerous letters in the WWE, R, K, and then out comes Drew McIntyre. And
What's the third letter?
I don't know. We're never gonna find out now. How dare Drew McIntyre?
No,
So
Drew.
he comes out and he's looking like $1,000,000. There you go. I said it. I know. I knew that you were like waiting for me to just say those words. And basically, he talks about how Randy Orton started gloating because when Drew McIntyre was down last week, Randy Orton could have, kicked him in the head, but he didn't. He just started gloating, and that's when he got up. And as he promised Randy Orton, he's like, as long as we're going to be in the same building, I'm going to kick your ass. And we're going to see a lot of that happening throughout the night. And
he's serious. He's very serious.
Yeah, essentially. And then they start brawling for a little bit until Randy Orton escapes. So quite an effective promo for Randy Orton. Again, it's we've said this many times. Randy Orton has been kind of hitting us with the best promos of his life. And Drew McIntyre is such a believable champion. I don't want him to ever lose that title.
Please don't. Not even now at Hell in a Cell, even though Randy Orton is very deserving of it.
Yeah.
Please not now. But we'll see what happens at Hell in a Cell, right?
Yeah, so do you want to go over the first round draft picks from Stephanie McMahon? Because she was up next.
So she comes out and she announces the first round. Same thing. 3 Raws, 2 SmackDowns, Raw, SmackDown, Raw, SmackDown. Raw drafts The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. SmackDown drafts Bayley. Finally. Raw drafts Randy Orton. Makes sense. SmackDown, in a very convenient pick, drafts the Street Profits. And Raw drafts Charlotte, who I forgot about. Well, I didn't actually forget about her, but
we haven't seen her in a while, so it seems that maybe she's nursing a few injuries or she's kind of working on a TV show or something like that. But you know what? It's going to be nice to see Charlotte Flair when she comes back on Raw. And with this announcement, it kind of leads me to believe that it should be sooner rather than later.
The only problem here is that none of us got these picks correct. However, all these picks were not really changes except for the Street Profits anyway. So we weren't really picking people that would stay on the same brand.
That's it. Like in our video predictions, we kind of specified that we were only going to pick the people that were going to change brands just to make it interesting, and we were right on some of them, which I guess we'll definitely point that out. But we do have a first match. We have Kevin Owens versus Aleister Black in a no DQ match, and I have to say that this definitely felt like their blow-off match. Excellent match, man.
Did it though? Because then after what happens later in the draft makes me think otherwise. But it was a solid match, and they had a lot of, I would say excellent spots and more hardcore spots with the tables and whatnot, because it was a no DQ match.
Absolutely, and I was going to say that this was probably their best match of all the 3 or 4 matches that they had. So I remember at one point we had KO's cannonball onto the barricade, which was really brutal. At one point, KO was actually standing on top of the barricade, and he jumped on Aleister Black, but Aleister Black kind of kind of reversed and he launched him onto the announce table, which was, I think, supposed to break, but it didn't. But it looked pretty brutal on his back. And that's when he started selling his back injury. So kind of told the story throughout the match. There was one moment where they had a bunch of chairs set up near the turnbuckle, and Aleister Black kind of gets up and hits the Meteora on Kevin Owens. He kind of falls down and he kind of falls onto like 4 chairs. That also looked pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Again, but like that Meteora looked insane, and the finish was really great too. We have Aleister Black, who kind of goes for a black mass on the outside, but he hits the turnbuckle instead. So he's kind of selling a leg injury. And Kevin Owens actually uses that to capitalize with a stunner, and he powerbombs him onto a table for the win. So KO, I thought that this is going to be a blow-off, but you do have a point. Something happens in the draft, which kind of leads us to believe that it might not really be a blow-off. But
it does seem like one. I'm not disagreeing with you there, but you never know. I mean, after all, some storylines just moved with the draft completely.
Absolutely.
What we've seen. So yeah, but yeah, solid match, and it did feel like the ending of something.
So do you want to go with round 2 of the draft?
Sure. Round 2, Stephanie's back out. Raw drafts Braun Strowman.
Yep.
I think we both said that.
We both said
SmackDown drafts Daniel Bryan.
Wait, no. You have to say it right. The B+ player, Daniel Bryan.
I will not say that because I don't agree with that.
She calls him. Come on.
She does call, but she doesn't. She knows better.
I know.
He's gonna come back and he's gonna get revenge on that. Raw drafts Matt Riddle, which was an interesting pick, bro. SmackDown drafts Kevin Owens, which I think we both said, and Raw drafts Jeff Hardy, which I think I said. So
you are absolutely right. You did say that, and I am so happy because we get to see Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens reunite.
That is going to be interesting. So that's one thread that suggests that maybe KO Aleister Black is over.
Yeah.
And maybe KO might do something interesting with Sami Zayn. That post-Fiend encounter with Kevin Owens, I don't know if that has changed anything yet. He doesn't seem to be any different. Maybe a little bit more aggressive, but not super different yet. So
absolutely,
see if that becomes a thing.
So now we have a really awkward, in my opinion, Miz TV.
I think it's everyone's opinion on that.
Yeah.
It was okay.
I mean, they're basically tooting their own horns, calling themselves the best acquisition for Raw. They talk about how, teams are splitting up left and right. We have the New Day, we have Heavy Machinery. They introduce their guests, which are Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, and
a new team.
The new team, exactly. And Mandy Rose kind of just talks about how Miz has been really petty and how Miz is just trying to ruin her relationship with Otis. And Miz actually makes a good point. He's like, ruin your life? What are you talking about? He's like, you're winning. You have a new partner and you're winning on Raw thanks to me. So you should be thanking us. And he actually tries to cause a rift between Dana and Mandy, saying that, well, Dana, I don't know if you knew, but Mandy's relationship with Sonya didn't end pretty well. So aren't you a little worried about that? So again,
I'm sure she knew. They were on the same brand, but...
Exactly. So they talk about the Battle Royal tonight, and out come Lana and Natalya interrupting them. And Lana had the best line of the night. Basically,
I'm not a huge Lana fan, but she made me a fan tonight.
She made me a huge fan tonight. She was so good. But I don't know if you remember what she said, but she's like, listen, if you want to have drama, I'm the girl to talk to because I have 2 ex-husbands and an ex-girlfriend. Yeah,
she's upset because she can't understand why they're interviewing Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke instead of her and Natalya. Which I mean, it's hard to argue with that. And she insults them too, telling them to spend less time on TikTok so they can win a match, basically, which was I think Mandy's rebuttal to them, or it was Dana that said it. One of them said it, and then this obviously did not go well for them because they were upset about that and they started fighting each other, and the brawl continued for a little bit. And I noticed that Dana and Mandy were also dressed almost identical. They were both wearing like black, and I was very confused at one point when it was who was hitting who with the weird camera cuts. But yeah, this turned into a brawl, which leads to a tag team match later in the episode.
So we are going to go back after the break. We have Miz TV, which is still on, and they're going to Plan B, and they introduced their guest John Morrison.
Plan B is actually Plan A right now.
There you go, and
it's better than Plan A.
You're right. That's exactly what John Morrison says. And before they're even about to kind of say anything else, out comes Lars Sullivan, who basically demolishes John Morrison since Miz cowered his way out of the ring.
Yeah, I'm not liking what Miz is doing to Jomo. We need more Morrison, and this is not what we're getting. I remember how we said it. They're going to go to Raw, and it's going to be a fresh start from jobbing 3 weeks in a row. I guess not.
Well, I found it funny because this could be some sort of foreshadowing in the sense that they mentioned teams are, breaking up left and right, but it's actually going to be their team that's going to end up breaking up.
That's actually very good next level thinking.
It's very poetic.
That makes sense. And you know what? If that's the storyline, I'll take the foreshadowing as good writing.
There you go.
And I'm gonna go with it.
So we are going to go backstage because we have the New Day, Street Profits, and Adam Pearce. So much charisma in one shot, and 90% of that came from Adam Pearce, obviously.
I 100% agreed there.
So basically, they swap titles since they're swapping brands. So they the New Day, they hand their SmackDown titles, and the Street Profits, they hand their Raw titles. Bobby Roode and Ziggler, they're pissed off because they didn't get an opportunity, and they challenged the New Day, which is actually confirmed in the next segment by Stephanie McMahon, who is about to tell us who gets drafted in round 3. So go for it.
Talk about a convenient segment there, though. Hey, we're the tag team champs. Hey, we're the Raw champs, but we just got traded to opposite brands. Let's just trade titles. It would have been cool to see the Raw tag team titles on SmackDown. The clashing red on the blue and the blue on the red. But no,
why not?
We're going back to the status quo. Round 3 of the draft. Raw drafts Retribution with Mustafa Ali. Just to be clear, he's in the graphic. SmackDown drafts. Who does SmackDown draft again?
Lars Sullivan,
because I just wrote SmackDown draft SmackDown because I was so uninterested by this pick.
Well, there you go.
Raw drafts Keith Lee. SmackDown drafts King Corbin. And Raw drafts Alexa Bliss. Very interesting. So, Alexa Bliss being on the same brand as The Fiend.
It made sense because...
Totally, yeah.
I don't know if I said that I thought that Bray Wyatt was going to move to Raw, but...
You might have said it.
If I had said that...
I know I didn't.
But that's the thing. Like, if I had said it, I don't understand why I didn't say Alexa Bliss, because of course she was going to go wherever the Fiend was going to go. So that was.
But I feel like you said Alexa Bliss and I said Nikki Cross, and then we were discussing. I'm like, yeah, I thought one of them. We thought one of them was going to go.
Yeah.
But I didn't think Fiend would leave SmackDown, so I thought that they would both stay. But obviously, given that one has gone, I think they're both going to go, which makes total sense.
So we're going to hear from the Messiah since it's his final night on Monday Night Raw. And he has to.
God, a tear.
Oh yeah. Essentially, like he has to acknowledge how difficult of a moment it is for us. We're losing a lot. We're losing a champion. We're losing someone who has conquered monsters, defeated a beast. There you go.
But no one can fill the void that he's going to leave behind. He said he looked at the roster, but no one can fill the void. Yeah. And he also mentions not the Mysterios because they are conveniently coming with him to SmackDown. So
let's not forget that. Yeah.
But now we get a debuting Jeff Hardy on Raw for his first time on Raw for a while. And Seth is confused because he's like, well, you're not the leader. You're not the guy I'm talking about. You just leave, get out of my ring. And Jeff is like, no, this actually might be my ring now because you're going to SmackDown. And Seth drops quite a bomb. He basically says that Jeff Hardy should be focused on his match with Lars Sullivan on Friday. So...
it seems that Jeff Hardy is going to be wrestling on SmackDown when he got drafted to Raw.
It does make sense. I mean, the New Day are drafting on SmackDown when they got drafted to Raw. They're drafting on SmackDown. They're wrestling on SmackDown, although being drafted to Raw. So that's not out of the ordinary, and it makes sense that he would want revenge on Lars Sullivan given what happened on SmackDown. No,
you make a fair point. So Seth Rollins basically leaves as he drops this bombshell, and out comes AJ Styles. He makes fun of Jeff Hardy, saying. What was it like? Oh, what was it like? Was it a last call or something? Obviously, referencing his alcoholism from back in the day. Seth Rollins laughs at the joke, and AJ's like, "Yeah, you like that? Why don't you step off since this wasn't Monday Night Rollins, anyways?"
It never was, and that did not sit well with the Messiah because he basically turned back and AJ didn't notice this, and AJ continued walking down to the ring, smack talking Jeff, and then Seth Rollins eventually follows him, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing, man? I heard what you said."
Yeah.
And all this blows up into Jeff Hardy beating them up and getting back on the mic to say he still has business with AJ and he wants to prove to Seth Rollins that Raw's in good hands and basically makes a triple threat match.
I'm sorry, but he said triple threat tag team match.
Did he? Oh my God, I don't remember.
He did. I was like, oh, okay. And I had to listen to it twice because I was like, whoa, wait, what did I hear? And yeah, he said triple threat tag team match. Yeah, that was beautiful. Wow. But I have to say,
important note though, important detail.
Yeah, so this was a great match between the three of them. Essentially, the heels are working on Jeff Hardy until they turn on each other, and we see Rollins taking out both with a dive on the outside. There was at one point though, Jeff hits a whisper in the wind on both men, and he kind of landed awkwardly on his knee, but thankfully he was okay. But that looked pretty bad.
Yeah, it did look pretty bad. This was after the commercial. The dive was what broke the match in two. And besides that whisper of the win, there was a cool spot where I think Seth wants to stomp AJ, and Jeff uses AJ as a springboard to attack Seth, which was pretty nice.
Yeah, it's with a DDT. Yeah.
Yeah, it basically springboard into a tornado DDT, which was super nice. It actually ends in a shocking fashion too. It looks like Jeff is gonna win after they kind of actually. There's a beautiful spot where there's a calf crusher AJ Styles applies onto Seth Rollins, and Jeff Hardy does a swanton bomb onto Seth, and it looks like AJ is gonna win because he pushes Jeff out of the ring and pins Rollins, but he actually kicks out. Later, Jeff gets his revenge and hits a twist of fate on AJ, and it looks like he's gonna win. But from out of nowhere, Elias with the guitar smacks him to the back. That was insane, and it makes total sense because that's presumably Jeff Hardy hit him with a car, right?
Yeah, I mean the whole world knows that it's not Jeff Hardy, but Elias still thinks that it's him. But yeah,
we don't know if it's not, I guess. But yeah, and it's not Sheamus though. It's only Sheamus that planted him there, from what I understand, right? Yeah. I don't even remember because the storyline has not been mentioned in a while. But yeah, that was an interesting way to introduce Elias again, and very convenient timing too, because round 4 of the draft is after the commercial break, and who gets drafted to Raw first? Elias.
That's it.
So that was interesting. Sami Zayn remains on SmackDown. Yes. Lacey Evans, you called it, goes to Raw. Nakamura and Cesaro remain on SmackDown, and Sheamus to Raw, which I called.
Hey, you got it. Your little ginger brother right there.
Hey, I know where the gingers go. I have the connection with them. So that was a convenient draft pick. And now we have that match between Natalya, Lana, and Dana and Mandy, the Miz TV match. This was all right. It wasn't super, super amazing.
Well, I was going to say that we did get to see some creative offense and good tag team tandem from both Dana and Mandy. But honestly, Lana showed huge improvement. I'm really, really impressed with Lana.
That's true. But this match was basically Mandy and Dana, and writing these notes was so rough because of Lana and Dana, literally the typos that I was making. But it was basically them showing off, doing some moves. They mostly destroyed Lana for the entire match, and they had a very interesting finish. Mandy hits a beautiful looking knee to the face, and then tags in Dana, who like jumps on her shoulders instead of the turnbuckle, because they're literally approximately the same height, but she uses Mandy's shoulders to do a dive, and that's how she beats Lana. Yeah. But the real story is what happens after. Natalya is upset, and she's done. She's like, she says, "Why are you this stupid?" And she's basically done with this. And Lana's crying. And at this point, I'm like, wow, can Lana sink any lower?
We're getting
a storyline where Lana just goes insane into a downward spiral and goes crazy. She should have been the Fiend's accessory at this point.
I mean, I feel like we're getting a Lana face turn.
Or that. But it's going to be so hard to cheer for Lana. I don't know how do you book that? Like,
I don't know. I felt for her, so it's kind of working.
I guess you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, she can always go back. She used to be super popular with Rusev Day and stuff, so you never know. But it's really hard to... She's very unlikable. She's very good at being unlikable, so...
Yeah, but then again, like, I mean, it's like us saying that Sami Zayn could never be a heel, and now he's the best heel. And same thing with Bayley, right? Like, the ultimate baby face, and now it's like they're so good at heels that you don't want them to go back. So you never know.
No, I want Sami Zayn as a face desperately. I'll take...
It's like our next team. It's like we have the Hurt Business. The Hurt Business, they're heels, and we love them so much as heels, and we don't want them to go back. And actually, they're the ones discussing backstage when Ricochet intervenes.
What a segue!
Thank you very much. And Ricochet's out there, and he's like, "Listen, I'm here for one last match against you guys." And
what is he, Christian? One more match.
That's it. And MVP makes a joke. He's like, "Oh, what? Are you retiring after tonight?" And he's like, "I'm actually retiring this." So he's like, "I have a proposition. Pick anyone in your team. If I win, this ends tonight, and we go out our separate ways. But if you guys win, I join the Hurt Business." And Cedric is so happy about that. He's like, "I'm up for the challenge." And so there was a little part of me. Yeah, exactly.
Ricochet just assumes that if he loses, they'll take him. Like, they're probably not going to take in a loser, but I mean, interesting proposition for sure.
Yeah. So we do have Angel Garza versus Andrade. I'm really happy to hear that Angel's injury wasn't as serious as we thought. So really good for him. But what kind of bothered me, I was like, for whatever reason, like, why is Zelina Vega on commentary? Like, didn't she say a couple of weeks ago that she was done with them?
she says it later in the match, but basically she is on commentary, and a lot of the focus is on what they're asking her and what she's saying more so than the match, especially in the early going. And they mentioned the Battle Royal tonight that she's going to be involved. I don't even know if she was involved. I think she was, but she was eliminated super quickly because I don't remember seeing her at all.
She wasn't.
She wasn't at all. And they mentioned some of the names that would be there. And when they specified Alexa Bliss, she was like, what do I care about Alexa Bliss? And she even does the Alexa Quinn, referencing the Harley Quinn reference that I've been saying all the time. And then the focus comes back to the match a bit. And she does mention that she has managerial duties and this is the last time.
All right,
seems favoring Andrade here. And Andrade was more ruthless than Garza, I think, in this scenario, working on the leg and whatnot. And I'll let you say something about the match before we talk about the finish. The finish was pretty good.
Yeah, so the match didn't last long, to be honest with you, because Angel kind of just throws Andrade into the apron like pretty hard, and then he just kind of finishes him. He finishes him off with the wing clipper. It's what happens post match that's the most interesting, because Lena comes in and she checks on him, and then the lights turn off.
And the Fiend shows up, but when the lights turn on, we see Alexa Bliss in the corner in that awkward yoga position, and they're just like staring at her, and the camera is very, very carefully positioned not to show the other half of the ring where the Fiend is likely standing until the camera cuts to see him. And then they both get a twin Sister Abigail in stereo. They both get hit by the Sister Abigail, and then they stare each other in the eyes lovingly while my ears are bleeding from the screeching.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's. I feel like we're never going to get used to that. But hey, let's jump to the 5th round of the draft. We have Raw. Yeah, Raw picks Nikki Cross. Good job. You said that. SmackDown gets Rudolph.
Rudolph is going to SmackDown.
Raw keeps the winningest champion in history, R-Truth. SmackDown picks Apollo Crews. And Raw keeps Dabba-Kato, who we haven't seen Raw Underground in a while, man. And nobody misses it, right?
I don't even that was a thing once.
Yeah. Well, So let's jump to our next match, which was a really, really, really good tag team match. We have Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, who just moved to SmackDown, so we all knew who was winning this, versus the New Day.
They couldn't just put this round after or do the other round first. No, they literally just spoiled this match. Yeah, it's basically a title match that has no consequence.
Yeah, so pretty good match. We get some mat-based wrestling from both Xavier Woods and Dolph Ziggler, which I was really surprised that Xavier had that in him.
He was happy to be, it seems.
Yeah, and then Bobby Roode had complete control on Kofi Kingston. Woods gets the hot tag, and he was rolling at this point. We even got to see him hit the honor roll, which we haven't seen in a very long time.
He did it multiple times too in this match, and
yes, but the second time, however, he got caught. Yeah,
he got into a spinebuster. Apparently, that tornado DDT he did on SmackDown there, using the ropes as he got out of the ring, is a new signature move of his because he pulled it off again, and it's very nice. He had a cool thing where Bobby Roode was hanging on the ropes as if he was in 619 position. Ziggler was outside, and Woods slid through Bobby Roode and hit Ziggler, so he got them both in one shot, which was really nice. Woods looked very good in this. And then Kofi was sleeping the whole match, right? And then he only came back at the end. And even though he tried to tag in, Ziggler tried to prevent that, but Kofi was able to knock him out. And then he was able to tag in Woods at the last second. Roode missed it, so they were able to capitalize with a midnight hour.
Yeah, the hang time that Kofi got on that was really, really insane. But happy to hear the New Day is all and well.
And still, your Raw Tag Team Champions that also won it tonight because they were SmackDown champions like 40 minutes ago.
Pretty much.
20. Yeah. Cool.
So we're going to jump to Elias, who's backstage with Charlie Caruso, who kind of wants to get an interview with him, but he's not very, very giving. He's a little reluctant, but he's like, listen, everyone has forgiven Jeff Hardy, but I haven't. I remember him hitting me with a car. And then Charlie was like, actually, that was never proven. Apparently, there was someone with red hair or something like that, but Elias doesn't care. He's like, on October 20th. Well, there you go. We never know.
It's me. What if it's me?
But there you go. I mean, so Elias doesn't care, though. He doesn't care. He doesn't give a crap. So he's like, on October 26th, his new album is coming out, and next week we're going to get a concert. So
yeah, the world desperately needs a concert right now, he says. His album's called Universal Truth, and he has a single called Payback for Jeff Hardy. So honestly, I'm very happy to see Elias. Like, I mean, he was not a heel when we last saw him, I kind of like him as a face. I like him as a heel. I think he's just good either way. So I'm just happy to see Elias.
Yeah, same here. So we're going to jump to our match. We have Cedric Alexander versus Ricochet. Let's not forget the proposition of Ricochet. So 2 former best friends. And again, Cedric Alexander, ever since he's joined the Hurt Business, he's really got some mean in him. So he hits him with a takedown, kicks him in the head. He slows the pace down with a chokehold and just kind of, flops him around. Towards the end, though, this is actually really interesting. Shades of Eddie Guerrero. Yeah. The referee is down, and Ricochet is in full control now. MVP throws the chair to Cedric Alexander.
Quite, though. It was during the Michinoku driver, right, that the ref got hit when Alexander did it, performed it on Ricochet. But yeah.
But essentially, a chair is thrown in the ring, but Ricochet actually intercepts it. He picks up the chair, and then he notices that the referee is down, so he has a great idea, a la Eddie Guerrero. He basically smashes the chair on the ring to kind of make a loud noise, throws the chair on Cedric, and then the referee comes to his senses, obviously, because it's like the universal sound, when you hit the chair on the ground, the referee's like, oh, he's all better now. And the referee sees the chair in Cedric's hand, and Ricochet is on the ground, and he puts 2 and 2 together, and he calls for disqualification. So
4, 2 and 2 together is 4. Correct.
Yeah, there you go. So it seems that Ricochet wins, but is this really the end? Like I feel like something is gonna happen.
This was a clever finish, though, because I enjoyed the finish because you made them both look strong without making them look weak, because there was no way Alexander was going to win, but there was no way that Ricochet could win and not have Alexander look good. So this was a nice way to end it. The MVP chair slide was just really bad, though. Like Ricochet was totally there. Like even if he was unconscious, he would have still stopped the chair. It reminded me of the spot back with Ken Shamrock and The Rock, where the boss man throws the stick and The Rock intercepts it.
Some serious throwback right there.
Classic throwback there. But yeah, the finish was very nice. Totally fine. Everyone's protected. Ricochet was right, because when we're going to find out later that Apollo Crews is going to get drafted to SmackDown. So he is gone.
Spoiler.
He has no one. So yeah, I'm spoiling everything. But round 6 is coming up.
But we do have an announcement that Braun Strowman is going to face Keith Lee next week on Monday Night Raw in a sanctioned match. Let's not forget that. That's huge, man. You're like jumping straight to round 6 of the draft, and you totally forget this humongous match that they got announced.
Yeah, this is my fault. That's my bad. This one's on me.
So you know what? Now it's you can definitely talk about round 6, because I don't know. I guess this is where we're like, KO is gonna have a new fresh start, but not really, right? Because
So in an incredible first pick, Titus O'Neil gets drafted to Raw. Beautiful. First ever 24/7 champion. Carmella is on SmackDown. Peyton Royce is on Raw. Aleister Black is on SmackDown. So yeah, spoilers.
There you
go. And Tozawa is on Raw as well.
Yeah, so I had said that I wanted Peyton on SmackDown just to kind of give her more opportunities, because the women's division is still very stacked on Raw. You have Lacey Evans, you have Nikki Cross, you actually have Alexa Bliss, and you also have Peyton Royce on top of the Riot Squad, on top of Shayna and Nia. There's just way too many women. And again, we have Lana, we have Mandy. It's just too many. And SmackDown, you have Sasha, you have Bayley, you have Bianca Belair. Carmella.
It's gonna clean up. We're gonna get the post draft. Like, there's a lot of people that weren't mentioned. Like, did Lana and Natalya went undrafted? Like, right? There's a few of them that went completely undrafted.
That's true.
Now we have absolutely the star-studded final segment of this show. It was so good from the beginning of this to the end. Like, it's the women's battle royal, and we have Asuka on commentary, so that's great. And the competitors enter, and it starts off really great because Nia Jax has something to say, and she says, "Well, we all know this match is going to be likely won by Shayna Baszler, or even more likely me." And she says, "Why don't you guys do yourself a favor and throw yourself out of the ring to save yourself the effort and to save me the effort of pulling you guys over." So Nia, working smart, not hard, classic, doesn't want to actually do any of the work and just wants to win. But I don't think anyone liked that because they all ambush her. And one of the notable spots on the match, of course, because there's a lot of stuff going on, there's a Nia and Tamina stare down at one point where they team up. They headbutt Lana together, and I'm like, poor Lana, like, already, like, being betrayed wasn't enough. Like, she gets headbutted by 2 Samoans. So that was pretty rough. They try to team up, but it doesn't last very long because Nia basically eliminates her right away. She tricks her.
I'm sorry. You said 2 Samoans, but it's 2 Samoans, including Tamina, who's someone's mom.
Yes, she is someone's mom. She does look like someone's mom. That's true. That is very true. It didn't work out. Billie Kay tries to eliminate Nia while she's distracted. That doesn't end well for her either.
Yeah.
So that's not good. Asuka has the best commentary line of the night by talking about her friend Mandy Rose, who's her sexy muscle friend. I don't know if you remember that. That was amazing. Even Samoa Joe was like, "Yeah, sexy muscle friends are hard to come by." And in quite possibly the greatest act of selflessness, Nia saves Shayna from elimination. And then the rest of I guess everyone ambushes Nia again because they forgot that she was the biggest threat because no one was attacking her for a while, and they try to eliminate her. And Shayna helps them out and totally makes Nia.
So Shayna doesn't return the favor. Instead, she helps them eliminate Nia Jax. And Nia isn't happy, and she hits Lana with a fourth Samoan drop.
Table, yeah, poor Lana. I'm like, poor Lana gets slammed on the table. At this point, the match cuts to backstage where Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton are beating each other up. And this is just great. They're just destroying each other by the garage door. And we come back from a commercial break, and Nikki Cross eliminates herself, sort of, because she's like on the top rope and she's fighting Lacey Evans, and she does like some weird thing where she ends up throwing herself over and onto the apron, and then she gets hit by the women's right.
Mm-hmm.
So that was great. Bianca Belair has a beautiful spot where she kind of slams Liv onto Ruby, which was nice. Shayna tries to sneak up on her with the clutch, but unsuccessfully locks it in and gets eliminated by Bianca Belair.
This was huge.
That's huge. And I thought she was going to make it to the Final Four, but she doesn't. The Riot Squad get their revenge on her and are able to eliminate her at one point when she's on top of the turnbuckle fighting Natalya.
Double drop kick, yeah.
Yeah, Natalya sets her up and tries to take her out, but is unable to. But that distraction lets the Riot Squad take her out, basically. So now we have our Final Four, right? We have Lacey Evans, Natalya, and the Riot Squad. And looks like the Riot Squad want to team up, and it looks like they have an advantage here, but they don't really do much. They get eliminated in sync in two opposite corners, which was kind of nice to see, but basically in the same exact way. And then Samoa Joe with the second line of the night. Actually, I'm not even sure now if it's the line of the night because Sexy Muscle Friend is pretty good, but
it's up there.
What did he say? He said the bell versus the boat?
Something like that.
This was super great. And they have a very nice exchange, the two of them. It's pretty brutal. There's some slaps. It's not clean. And they end up on the apron where they both nearly get eliminated but save each other. And Natalya hangs on, which was very impressive, to the middle rope. Eventually, Natalya is able to eliminate Lacey by kind of having her in a powerbomb position where she is just slams her into the ring post and Lacey goes down. But Natalya is not the winner of this match because the shot right behind her in the shot, we see Lana. She's never been eliminated, and she knocks out Natalya and wins the battle royal.
Huge, just shocking.
Let's take this moment away from her because let's cut immediately to Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. They're fighting and they're at ringside now, and they're just beating each other up more and more and more. Eventually, this gets breaking up finally, and Drew McIntyre says he's gonna end Orton next week, and I'm so into this.
I believe him.
So good. I totally believe him. So this whole segment had so much going on. It was great. The battle royal was great. The winner was unexpected. What a surprise! I dig it. I know Lana doesn't really. I guess she doesn't really deserve it. She hasn't done much. But taking 4 table bumps, getting beat up, losing your friend. I felt for Lana this episode, and I enjoyed the brawling with Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. This segment was amazing.
Listen, I like the one thing I have to say is that I'd be lying to you if I said that Lana was my pick or something like that. But I have been seeing an improvement, just like I said the same thing with Zelina Vega. And Zelina Vega, to be honest with you, put up a decent match against Asuka, and I feel like yes, Asuka is going to win this, but let's not count Lana out already. I feel like she kind of has done a lot since she's been wrestling, and I'm actually looking forward to this match. And it was still good because we got to see Bianca Belair still look very strong. She eliminated Shayna Baszler. The whole chemistry between Shayna and Nia was still intact, and that was still going on. So that was great as well. I understand why they didn't put Sasha Banks. I mean Alexa Bliss, and I understand why they didn't put Zelina because Zelina kind of got taken out by Alexa. So that was also nice to see.
They did imply that she was in the match.
Yeah. So that was basically Raw in a nutshell. I think as we're talking about it, like, I can't discount the fact that we got some great matches. Again, the Aleister Black Kevin Owens match was really, really good. The tag team match was really good as well. Even the Battle Royal was really entertaining. So I, to be quite honest with you, I feel like this was a Raw when it comes to wrestling. It was pretty good. But when it came to, I guess there were some segments that were kind of hit and miss. Like the Miss TV stuff was a little hit and miss. Lars Sullivan, I don't really care for him.
I still don't.
And it was, to be honest with you, it was really nice to see Elias. So I think that this Raw was kind of, in my opinion, for me, was like a 7 on 10 territory. Like I wasn't bored, watching this episode of Raw, and obviously I didn't watch it live, so it was really nice not watching it with all these commercials. So that definitely helps as well.
That gives it an extra point every time.
You know what? You're not wrong. You're not wrong. So,
100%. Yeah, this Raw was pretty good. I'm hovering where you are around 7. I think it's a solid episode of Raw. I really like the ending segments were particularly strong. The Miz TV wasn't particularly strong. Don't forget about the triple threat tag team match. That was just a triple threat match. That was also very good. So overall, solid episode of Raw. One thing to note is that no NXT wrestlers were drafted to any brands yet. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe with Survivor Series coming up, maybe it's too close for, I don't know. I feel like maybe they're going to do this, and you're right. Like, they might have like another draft because I believe there's like 2 drafts or something like that. Like, the second draft is a bit of a smaller draft, so who knows? I guess...
thing like they
yes, something like that. But to be honest with you, I feel like Raw is rolling, and Hell in a Cell is shaping up to be a really good pay-per-view.
Raw not Raw is rolling. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? I said Raw is rolling.
Raw is war.
Oh my God, Raw is Rollins.
Monday Night Rollins. Yeah.
Seth Rollins.
Seth Rollins.
All right, guys.
Superstar.
I feel like this is the perfect time for us to sign off. If you do enjoy our content, make sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. You'll find all the information in the description box below, where to find us on Instagram, Twitter, and even wherever you listen to audio podcasts. And thank you so much for the support, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, so when I said earlier that who did SmackDown draft at like round 2, and you said Lars Sullivan, I actually didn't know who they drafted. I actually wrote SmackDown was drafted to SmackDown, and I didn't know who it was, and I needed you to cover up for me. And thank God that went smoother than it could have.
Oh, no, it's okay. I mean, you're a B+ host, so...
That's true. I didn't even do journalism. I don't even know what journalism is.
Yeah.